Thanks for that introduction, Chrissy. Very, very good of you. And thank you everyone for listening to the Encounter story this morning. Encounter is a dedicated frontier greenfields exploration company with a focus on Northern Territory and Western Australia, looking for copper and critical minerals. Now, the snapshot of Encounter, probably the really important thing here is the team and the exploration team that we've assembled. So Dr. John Wronski and Peter Buick have attracted some tremendous young, dedicated and very highly capable geologists into our company. Sarah James and Mark Brody are here today on the booth, and please do come and see them. And they've got a team underneath them who are some of the leaders in their field. So they've been able to deliver the exploration programs, operate remotely, really cost effectively, enable us to get incredible bang for our buck when we're exploring. The other two things probably to note, we've got a sound cash position, over $7 million in the bank, and that's supported by partnerships with South32 and IGO, who are spending making large investments on projects in partnership with us. And also that the board and management are strongly committed to the company and have invested significantly over the years and control a little under 15% of the company. So this is the project portfolio. It is a very, very extensive portfolio, and I won't be going through it all today. As I said, we've got those partnerships with South32 and IGO looking for copper. And I'll touch on the South32, some of the results late last year that they achieved in that first pastoral program at the Jessica and Carrara projects. We've got a 100% owned project in the Paterson province that we've explored Lamel over many years. We've intersected high-grade copper gold, and IGO has been getting some encouraging results at our Paterson province project with them. We did some drilling late last year at the Sandover copper project, but most of the presentation today is going to be about what's happening in the West Arunta, which is a new critical minerals province in Australia, and things are moving very rapidly out there. So you can see that there at the WA-NT border, it's a very remote part of Australia and very underexplored. So there's the overview of what we're trying to do here. Go into Central Australia, apply new technologies, new techniques, move really early onto new government data sets, and have a terrific team to be able to go in there and explore aggressively and effectively. The commodities we're chasing, I won't spend too much time on them. The primary focus has been copper, and being in the West Arunta, which has seen significant discoveries of niobium and rare earths in recent years, has meant that we're very, very much exposed to what's going on out there. So maybe I'll move on to the Aileron project in the West Arunta. That is a massive land position that we control in this district. We were the company that drilled the very first hole into this belt, and that's the Hosky anomaly, named after Terry Hosky, the geophysicist who brought those anomalies, those magnetic anomalies on that major northeast trending structure to our attention. We attracted Newcrest in as a partner. They've funded the exploration. We managed it for the first 2 years, and we got a rig out there in 2020, and we drilled the first hole into that. The rig had some issues, and we stopped that hole at about 157 metres. And when we got the assays back, it had very high grade from a first hole into a 100-kilometre wide belt. It had rare earths up to 0.8. It had niobium anomalism in it. It had gold. It had copper. I gave a hell of a lot of encouragement to what we were doing. We finished that hole in May last year, and we went through into a mineralised carbonatite containing rare earths and niobium on that structure, and then we subsequently drilled at Crean, Hurley, Emily and Green and got mineralised carbonatites at all of them. And at the same time we've had WA1, see that right there at our southern border, drilling out what is probably the most significant niobium discovery in decades, and that runs right up to our tenement boundary, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. One of the things that's been really important for when you're going into new belts is getting new regional data sets. Now we've flown a very large magnetic survey across that belt. You can probably see where the resolution's quite high in the centre of that image. We also flew one of the largest Falcon gravity surveys committed to by a junior exploration company across that last year, and that's revealed some pretty incredible anomalies out in the eastern part of the project, which I'll touch on at the end. So let me just zoom into that Looney, Emily, Green, Joyce area in the southern part of the tenement package. The outline there provided by WO1 of what they've interpreting as their carbonatite, shown in that yellow dotted outline. Our Emily, Green and Joyce targets shown there as magnetic lows along those key structures. Now, we've been, it's very early days, we've been doing reconnaissance drilling at a number of these targets. We're starting to understand how to target these mineralised carbonatites. One thing, unsurprisingly, is that they're coming up some of the major structures, and these key structural intersections are really important. In late last year, we drilled our first drilling at Emily, and we hit high-grade near-surface niobium and rare earths at that prospect, about 1 to 2 kilometres from Looney. The targets that are coming up to be drilled this year are the green target, which you can see there, that oval-shaped feature sitting at that intersection of those major structures of the stromness and the interconnecting fault between the endurance. That looks very much like it's some sort of intrusive body, and given the context of what's happening around it, we've got a high confidence that we might find some niobium and rare earths associated with that. And the drilling that we've done at our most eastern drill line there, which you can see just next to that open arrow, had some pretty significant niobium and rare earths in it. So Joyce is also another target. You can see a series of these structures, which we've been able to map out of the regional magnetics and gravity surveys that we've flown to give us high confidence that that's something pretty interesting happening there too. So we've got a heritage survey coming up in the next couple of months, and we've got to be testing that with an air core program starting in probably around May, June. Now, using air core to quickly, cost-effectively test these targets, I'll show you the next slide why we think that's going to be so successful. That drill hole there from Emily, which is drill hole EAL098. You can see the chips from the RC drilling. The 12 metres at 2.3% niobium, with pretty significant rare earths as well. You can see an air core rig is going to get through that, and it's probably going to get us into that primary carbonatite which this drill hole extended into. Now that mineralisation went all the way to the end of hole, 130 metres at 0.7% niobium. So I'm not going to explain too much about the niobium market at the moment, but the price of niobium is about 5 times the price of copper. So if you want to look at how much metal is in that sort of drill hole, it's pretty significant. You can see the most western hole of Looney, also another significant intercept. We're going to see these things pinch and swell along these structures, and Encounter's got some terrific targets that are going to get tested in the next few months. So just zooming about 5 kilometres north to this original drill hole. You can see Hosky there. That's the drill hole, the magnetic anomaly that we targeted in the first drill hole into this entire belt. It was fascinating, as I said. We extended through that magnetic anomaly into the structure, and where we drilled mineralised carbonatite. We stepped over 2 kilometres where we drilled the cream target, and we got some 68 metres at 0.8% niobium. And if you look at that drill plan, you'll see again that drill hole is is completely open to the west towards that magnetic low north of Hosky. That's going to be another one of the targets for the air core rig when it turns up on site. We stepped over another 1.2 kilometres. We drilled a section of drilling through that at Crane, where we drilled a depth extensive carbonatite for 282 metres, and we finished the hole in mineralisation. I'll touch on that in a second. And then once again, we stepped over another 3 kilometres and drilled Hurley, which was based on a gravity target, and drilled a mineralised carbonatite again. I mean, this doesn't happen in regional exploration when you go out and do a reconnaissance program in a new belt. There's an incredible amount of mineralisation and carbonatites coming up in this neck of the woods, and the structures are live, and we're starting to get a bit of a handle on how we can target the best parts of these features. So I'll just show you that section through Crane. We entered it at about 65 odd metres, and we drilled it for 280 metres, and we stopped it in mineralisation. The hole averaged out at about 0.5% niobium, and there's zones there going 1% niobium. Now there's the two producing primary niobium mines in the world. Niobec produces about 0.4% niobium, and Catalão 2 in Brazil produces about 1% niobium. So you can see these sort of grades in a first drill hole into there are pretty significant. The carbonatite itself will zone both laterally and vertically. We've got further drilling planned there this year to to really get to understand what is the orientation, what are the controls, and we're doing some early cytometallurgical work to understand how this might treat. So it's the start of a process where we want to systematically go through all these targets and understand both, I guess, the size, the grade, and also the metallurgical treatment that might be applicable to them. Hurley was that other target. I won't go into it. We drilled a series of holes. We had some trouble getting through cover. All the holes that got through cover intersected a carbonatite. The best hole was the most eastern hole there at 74 metres at 0.5%, and which is completely open to the east and north and south. So there'll be further drilling done there this year. So before I'll leave Aileron, most of that drilling's happened in what is the western part of a very large land position that we control out here. This Falcon gravity survey, which we committed to about this time last year and flew in May last year, has been an incredible data set to enable us to target in this belt. You can see some of those structures ripping through very clearly, both in gravity and magnetics, telling us they are very, very significant features. I've talked about Joyce and Green and Emily in the central part of that, but those anomalies that jumped out of that data set in the Falcon in the eastern part of the project at Mawson, Wordy, and particularly Percy. That is a 6 milligauss gravity anomaly going into a background, sitting at the intersection of two major structures. That is a really high quality IOCG and all carbonatite target. There's not a drill hole anywhere near it. We've got an EIS co-funded grant, and we'll be drilling that in commencing in April. So we've got heritage clearance. We're good to go, and we've pushed the track to Mawson. We'll complete the track out to Percy, and we'll be testing that target, which is going to be fascinating. So, a lot going on. We will be, the air core rig will be there in May, June. The diamond rig will be there in late March, early April. We've got a heritage survey where we want to test a number of these new targets that we've identified, and the second half of the year will be about quantifying the size of these series of carbonatites and understand the grade and the tonnage distribution within them. And we'll be doing work in the background to understand the metallurgical characterisation and understanding how this sort of material will be able to treat. So while that's happening, we've got significant investment going on by our partners. Last year, over $5 million was invested by partners, South 32 and IGO, on projects together with Encounter. IGO drilled some really interesting copper in an air core and diamond program they've done in the Paterson province. And South 32, who are a major partner in the Northern Territory, have got a very large land position and drilled an 8-hole diamond drill program last year. I'll tell you a little bit about that. So that's our land holding in the Northern Territory. We own the extension of the Aileron belt into the that I've just been talking about into the Northern Territory. That's ground we've picked up over 12 months ago. We did some drilling at Sandover late last year, and assays are coming in the probably late March, early April. But South 32, where Jessica's been operating last year, one of the things where we partner with these major mining companies, and they can come in, they drilled about over 7,000 metres of diamond drilling, and in that first program at Zeta, up in the north of the project there, you can see coincident magnetic gravity feature on the margin of what we're interpreting is potentially a major intrusive body. Looking for an IOCG, the first hole they drilled intersected intense pervasive red rock hematite alteration with chalcopyrite in quartz carbonate veining. I mean, for a first hole into a new belt, there's probably not a drill hole within 50 metres of this thing, 50 kilometres of this thing. We quickly turned around, they drilled a second hole 1.3 kilometres away, and that had chalcopyrite and bornite also in the veins. This is a large new mineral system. We think that's occurring here. Looking at how geophysically we can explore that from this point, and we're expecting further activity at Jessica this year to be stepping up with drilling planned to follow up the geophysics. So just to wrap up, major portfolio of 100% owned projects, partners spending big dollars on our projects at the same time. We're one of the most ambitious exploration companies on the ASX. We're in a new province in the West Arunta, which is having an incredibly high drilling success rate, and we're well funded to deliver this program that's about to kick off. So thank you very much for your time.